right, welcome to this playthrough of Roommates Wanted by Dark Liquid Games. This is a rooted in trophy dark incursion made in the modern setting, and we're going to go ahead and do some simple player introductions first, just to get to know who's playing with us today, and then I will go over Cat's concept, aim, tone, and subject matter, as well as the safety tools that we will be using for today. This game falls under the Gauntlet's Code of Conduct, as this is done with the Gauntlet gaming community. Okay, so real quick, I'm Mads. She, they pronouns, and I love tabletop role-playing games. I joined the Gauntlet community probably less than a year ago, and just kind of like wandered in, and also have done some actual plays with the Gauntlet publishing arm, and yeah, I've enjoyed myself ever since, like discovering so many new games, meeting so many new people, and it's been a wonderful experience so far and continues to be so. So let's go ahead and pop over with Blake.
Do you want me to introduce my character or?
No, just your player.
Okay,
yourself,
no
like
worries.
your name, pronouns, and anything interesting you want to say.
Blake, he, him. Been with the Gauntlet since 2017. Yeah, mostly playing and running World of Darkness and PBTA games. It's good stuff.
Hey, plug. Nexus. Plug it. Come on.
Oh, I've got some games on drive through like Season of Dreams and Nexus Modern Sorcery. Check them out if you're into modern supernatural stuff.
All right, let's pop over to Mona.
Yeah, I'm Mona Xu He. I have only been on the Gauntlet since this summer. And yeah, I got a chance to play a lot of different games I didn't have chance before, so it's good.
Thank you. And let's go over to Kay.
Hi, I am Kay. I use she and they pronouns. I've been playing TTRPGs probably for about like 5 or 6 years, and been in the Gauntlet for about 2 or so. And I'm super excited to play my first trophy-based game. I've never done that before.
Okay, hopefully I can give you guys a good experience. All right, and then last but not least, Kevin.
Hi guys, I'm Kevin. I use he, him pronouns. I'm new to the Gauntlet by only about maybe 2 months or so. I lurked on the Discord a little bit longer, and then officially joined the community relatively recently. I'm just playing a bunch of different games. I was on the first season of Savage Tales of Eberron, so I did a lot of Savage Worlds for a while. And yeah, now I'm here looking at a lot of PBTAs and trophies.
All right, welcome. All right, so we're going to go into, or I'm going to go into going over concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. It's Cats. This builds up for expectations about that we're going to be seeing in the game, and we will also be going over safety tools that will be utilized in this game as well. I mean, we want to make sure that in play that everybody is also having a good time while feeling safe. All right, so I mean, this is a horror game, but again, we want to make sure that we're not going to be, stepping on anybody or triggering anyone's, issues or anything like that, like inadvertently. Okay, so to start, again, Roommates Wanted is a game rooted in trophy by Dark Liquid Games, and the game system is Trophy Dark. Trophy Dark itself is a collaborative storytelling game about a group of treasure hunters on a doomed expedition to a place that doesn't want them there. All right. So the concept is about doomed seekers entering the haunted spaces of the world. Aim. So players will be playing essentially treasure hunters, motivated by a near impossible goal to seek out riches in the forgotten places of the world. Trophy Dark itself is usually set in a fantasy setting, but we will be doing this incursion in a modern, more present day scenario. Okay? But the important thing is the treasure hunters are doomed, and they probably won't achieve their goal. The tone of Trophy Dark is desperate and often tragic. You will likely encounter conflict or tension between characters, where players are encouraged to backstab or betray their companions in pursuit of their goal. The ethos for Trophy is essentially, for Trophy Dark, is essentially play to lose. It's like there will be a point where, yes, it will seem like there's no other way to go except for leaning into the darkness and then being able to, you know, be the narrator of your own fate, however doomed that is. Subject matter. This game will be R-rated. Characters are risk takers willing to make dangerous choices. The game will likely be violent, terrifying, and include scenes of bodily horror and loss of self-control. I believe that I had put down some, some content warnings of rats, body horror, debt, and money obsession. So it's like if anybody has any issues with that, I mean, you know, this may be the time for using one of the safety tools, which I will go over for gameplay. All right. So safety tools that will be utilized will be X card. So anything that is objectionable for you or distinctly unfun, you can go ahead and make an X in the video or X in the chat, or just call out X card and we will stop play. We will clarify what needs to be X carded. We won't ask why. And then we will resume with something else, okay, going on into the game. There's also open door policies. So for whatever reason, well, actually, I should say, you can just leave the game, don't have to explain, and just let us know if you're actually going to return after a scene or if you're just going to be leaving the game completely, okay? And then finally, we have lines and veils. In our character keeper, we have a safety tab, which has a list of different topics that could be lined, which is something that won't be crossed. We will not include it as part of the game at all. A veil is something that may come up or be present, mentioned, but won't be described in any detail. We will fade to black on that particular topic. And then there is also columns of ask first and interest. If everybody has filled out safety, the lines and veils tab, then it's like, you know, at least we can clarify, like, you know, what we will not be including in this game. Okay. Just for transparency, lines for this particular game are bodily fluids, blood, urine, feces, etc. Blood is fine, human or not, for the clarification. Death of children is a line, food horror involving starvation, forced feeding, homophobia, transphobia, incest, intimate partner violence, necrophilia, racism, sexism, sexual assault and violence, fat phobia, body shaming, names, Zach, Sandy, Lauren, and Mark, and trapped or falling in an elevator or planes. Okay. I didn't mean to laugh a little bit at the names part. I mean, I know that some names can be triggering for people, so I apologize. And then veils for this game. Harm to children, harm to pet, domestic animals, harm to pregnant people, and torture. Okay, so we'll just definitely fade to black on those. And there is a tab in here. I'm not sure how much it'll come up in this game, but there is a romance consent, and then like players have marked it off accordingly. Okay. So definitely check over lines and veils if you think that in your narrations you might be kind of getting close to it or crossing it, okay? So be very careful and mindful of each other, all right? Okay, so with that, having gone over cats and safety, Kevin, do you think that you are ready with your character? Oh, you're on mute.
I'm just putting in the details now, but it'd probably take about 3 or 4 more minutes.
Okay, not a problem. All right. So let's see. Okay. So I just wanted to say it's a wonderful thing when you have like a list on the Gauntlet calendar. It's like, you never know, like, just get on that wait list because you never know when you're going to be able to get in a game, even if it's like 6 minutes before the game actually starts, as Kevin found out. So it's a wonderful thing. Let's go over some of the other characters to give Kevin a
I
little
can
bit of time.
introduce mine if you like.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, go for it.
All right, so Gabrielle Harris is an architect. Yeah, she wants to get some cash to start her own business, so she doesn't have to constantly kowtow to people that keep changing their mind all the friggin' time and drive her up the wall because she works so hard to get the plans exactly right and then has to adjust them and then has to adjust them and so on. So I don't know. I figure she's 30, probably English. And her background's a pet owner because she's got lots of spiders. I think because she likes animals, she likes the sort of freedom they live by the moment sort of thing. But ironically, spiders don't. They have to plan, they have to think ahead and look at the thing, and that kind of appeals to the architect in her. And yeah, so she's got lots of pet spiders. And that's her thing. All right.
And what's her drive?
Yeah, cash. She wants to start her own business, so she can take work with the people she wants to rather than anything just to pay the bills sort of thing.
Okay, so let's go over to.
I can go.
Okay, go ahead,
Good.
Kay.
Yeah, so I will be playing Preston Vanderveer, him. He is the young professional. I find myself, we'll see where the story goes. I find myself caught between something general like lawyer or some variational form of business. He's actually a junkie. And his drive is to finally prove to your quote unquote betters you have what it takes to stand on your own. So I imagine that Preston comes from money, but because of his sort of junkie status, in fact, he may even work for like a family company, but because of his junkie status, he's always been considered sort of unreliable and been decently funded by his parents and things like that. And now they've sort of been like, a bit cutting off. And so they're like, we're not going to continue to support you in this way if you, keep doing up your life. And he's like, well, I can do it on my own. Spoiler alert, he probably can't.
I've never seen narcotics as a skill before. That's awesome.
Yeah, the skills associated with both profession background and such are negotiation, bureaucracy, determination, and narcotics.
Okay. We want to go back to Gabrielle. Do you want to just tell us about Gabrielle's skills?
Yep. She's got construction, architecture, planning, and animals.
Got it.
So okay. Real combat monster.
Absolutely. I will say though, like, as an off aside, in Trophy Dark, if you do face any monstrosities, if you do try to combat them, you will die immediately. So just as a warning for the future. All right. And Mona, can you tell us about Annabel?
Yeah, so I'm playing Annabel Li, her. So she's from a pretty strict and traditional Japanese family, and her entire family were doctors. So apart from a brief-ish rebellious time during high school where she became a goth and got obsessed with the occult, she had stuck with her education and get into med school. But the real reason she wants to be a doctor is that for reason she doesn't even understand herself, she had always had this desire to hold power over others. And instead of holding power over something abstract that may affect a lot of people, like being a politician or CEO with a lot of money or political influence, she wants to actually hold people's life and death in her hands. So being a surgeon is the closest she can get to that without being a serial killer. So that's the real reason she like play along with being a doctor. So yeah, her skills are examination, diagnosis, forensic, and occult. Yeah.
Oh, what a mix. It's like you got all the practical skills, and then your soft skill is the occult. Okay. Wonderful. And all right, Kevin, you think you have Malcolm ready?
You're on mute, Kevin.
Oh.
Still muted.
Weird.
There we go.
Okay.
For some reason.
You got it now.
All right. So Mal is a history professor, grad student, who had a little bit of time studying religion as well. So he kind of bounced back and forth between majors in college. And his skills are academics, history, lore, and religion. But I don't know a whole lot about Mal yet, other than his drive is to make new and powerful friends. I think he was in a frat in college probably, and really loved the social aspect of it. And now he's out. Maybe he moved back home. Not a whole lot of money in education, and so he's trying to doesn't want to move back in with the parents, but he's trying to climb the ladder and trying to make some friends.
All of you having wonderful, I say that in quotes, reasons to take this offer that you see in the paper. Now, in general, Trophy Dark starts with a poem, with the original core incursions and such. But with this, the modern third-party incursion, this is wonderful because this starts off with an ad. This advertisement is about tenants. Elderly recluse seeking roommates for shared costs and company. Large estate within 10 minutes of city center, all amenities and bills included. The grounds and estate are free to use as you see fit, except of course for my bedroom and the basement, which are strictly off limits. And then there's the list of ideally seeking applicants with the occupations, such as historians, bankers, young professionals, architects, doctors, and engineers. However, I have no time for anyone whose backgrounds includes ever having been goths, pet owners, benefits claimants, junkies, convicts, or priests. Applicants with particular drives and vigor to achieve will be given preference. Do you want to pay off a relative's medical debt? Finally prove to your betters you have what it takes to stand on your own. Get enough money to start your own business. Hold power over others. Experience the life of the rich and powerful, or make new and powerful friends. If so, this may be the house share for you. Groups of applicants who already know each other are preferred, so issues with clashing personalities can be avoided. Quite eager to have new tenants. All rooms are fully furnished. Stay with me for 5 days straight, and if you don't like it, I will pay you $10,000 for your time. You won't find a better offer. So, before we get started with gameplay, let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, all right, to get things together, a little, get some beverages or snacks, whatever you need to get through the rest of this game. We will be doing Ring 1 and Ring 2, which are essentially done in days, all right, for this particular incursion. All right, so see you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay, see ya.
All right.
Yeah. Actually, I want to ask, did I say Annabel is Japanese?
You did.
Yeah, let's brain fart. Obviously, she's Chinese because it's a Chinese surname. Yeah, that was my intention, but because the picture is from a manga, so
Okay.
I just
I mean,
it's a detail, but
okay.
yeah.
Well, if you want, you could also be of mixed heritage, so that too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, and if anything, it's like, you're going to have a getting to know you kind of period for the beginning. So if you want to, like, make mention of that, that's perfectly fine too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, day one. You are invited into the estate, welcomed by the landlord, whose name you don't actually know yet. You just went by the ad, and he was very friendly on the phone and through text messages, and to set up a time to come and see the place. What you do find, though, is that the grounds and the estate are filled with clear tubes that are constantly run through by rats, who the landlord jokingly refers to as his tenants. Group interviews, getting to know each other, humoring the weirdness for huge payoffs. So, as you're wandering through this estate, all right, I mean, like, we're going to call it that this has, like, a big, like, wrought iron gate with some fancy detailing on it. And then you are given the grand tour by this person who is a big man, kind of like balding, but hairy everywhere else. He's wearing what looks like a fancy brocaded dressing gown that goes down to his feet, along with some loose, like loose clothing, like loose tunic and loose pants with what looks like slippers on his feet, and you can see like hair bunching out from underneath the tunic,
So
and
so
on his arms.
he's big in like he's tall or broad or both.
Tall and broad, yes, both.
Muscular,
Yes.
muscular.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Quite. Yeah.
How old does he look? Like roughly?
He's described himself in the ad as an elderly recluse. So
Okay.
imagine a very muscular, like, pretty good looking, like elder, I would say, for his age.
Muscular Gandalf. Okay.
Muscular Gandalf. Without the hat. Without the hat. For sure. All right. And he's making grand gestures. I mean, he sort of looks like he's walking with a cane. It's a fancy looking wood cane with a with a brass head that you can't quite tell what that head is, because his big thick fingered hands are over it as he's gesturing with the other hand to this detail and that detail of the grounds.
With this house, are we talking like a 10-room, two-story house, or are we talking like 50-room mansion sort of thing? How
Yeah.
big? How
Yeah.
big?
You're gonna be talking about essentially a three-story place that looks quite sprawling, but it's a box. Okay, so you see the wide windows with the again some wrought iron on the windows, just like matching the gates, as well as the it's quite bright looking actually. It's like kind of an ivory color. Three stories, like an ivory color with like grounds that kind of sprawl like off to either side. All right, so let's do a paint the scene.
Can I ask a question? How big is the estate relative to the mansion?
You see forest in the back,
Okay.
and then like kind of like a wide grassy fields like off to the side. Imagine the big circular driveway in the front. So if you're pulling up in a car, you can go ahead and park your car like in the circle. All right. And then he's like, with his booming voice, he's saying, it's like, yeah, and then if you go into the back, you can see the large pool. That's part of the package as well. And then you just have to deal with all of the tubings inside. And that's when you see like all of the rats. You will actually see like some of the tubes going out outside of the grounds as well. So, as you're getting closer, you can see like, a rat or two like starting to scurry along these tubes. Yeah, these are my other tenants. So, make yourself at home, come and see the place.
Do these other tenants stay to their areas, or will they be found freely roaming in common areas?
They mostly stick to, stick to the tubes, and like it's kind of like their exercise, their leisure, their recreation. And as he's saying this, you see like far afield, like beyond the tubes that are like close to the house, you see a rat killing a bird.
Yeah, I think I want to ask him, do these other tenants have names?
Sometimes depending on my mood, I will call them by different names. Not sure if it's like I'm actually correct each time. Some of them don't really necessarily have some like discerning features, So, eh. It's like if you hear me call one of them Clive, it's like that may be on purpose, or maybe not. So, paint the scene for everyone. So, this is just in the grounds, or like right in the foyer. What is something that you remark upon that reminds you of something about your drive? You haven't quite gotten into the house yet or seen your room. I mean, this is just on the grounds or in the big wide foyer.
I think for Preston, he notices in front of the home there are several grandiose statues for the leading staircase towards the entranceway. And he notices a small dating that they are from the same French architect and grunter who did, the building construction on his own family's home that he is used to. And he's sort of, feeling to himself, I'm not even at home, and I'm only left home for 10 seconds, and I'm already living in a manner in the way that I am accustomed to of my own volition and abilities.
Very cool. Who else?
I think one of the statues, maybe like there in the main circle, there is a statue of two people um shaking hands, and very sort of business transactional relationship. um it just gives that sense of cooperation.
Blake or Mona?
Um, I think there's a few bits of the exterior that needs to be touched up or fixed, and I think, well, I could actually arrange or getting that fixed up and get some extra cash for myself from the owners. It wouldn't be a con job. I can actually make it better, but it's helping me.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think somewhere on the ground I see this like supercar, like this beautiful, sleek, super expensive, customized supercar. And and I just thought to myself, well, that's the kind of car you can run someone over and get away with. Because someone that rich never actually like have to do like pay anything for doing bad shit. So yeah.
Okay. So, even in the foyer, It's like, you see these tubes of the rats, like kind of like running through the place. But remarkably, it's actually done to be enhancing as well as maintaining the aesthetic of the place. So even though it's like fairly opulent, like these tubes have like seaming that looks a little gilded, and they run like in parallel lines to like the staircase, or two staircases, I should say. I mean, like, of course, you see the grand wrought iron chandelier up top of this grand foyer, as well as the two staircases that kind of, curve upward on either side of this foyer, leading to the upstairs. And then the floor has a strange geometric design, but then has these waves that kind of are reminiscent of the tubes running through it. And, yeah. So, why don't you go ahead and just, like, let's check out the lounge. I mean, like, I have a library. If you need to, like, do any research for anything, I mean, can't say that I've read them all myself, but I mean, like, there's a fine collection of books in there. And then there's also the lounge where we can, like, sit down and have a few, have a few drinks, or maybe some cigars if you're so inclined. And so he leads you down that particular hallway, which is through the foyer, down like the wall-to-wall carpeted hallway with dark paneling, with, of course, the tubes running down the hall. And then the lounge is one of the doors at the end. And when you open this place, what do you see here? So again, paint the scene. What's the detail of this lounge? It's a large room. Let's just say that. That makes you feel at home, or makes you feel comfortable, even with this group of strangers and this new landlord.
Yeah, I want to say that despite the landlord's apparent dislike for gas, somehow in the lounge there's this like vintage signed poster of like an old, like old obscure niche and like barely on the radar before they disappear death metal band that's like really, really expensive and difficult to find among collectors.
I think speaking of lounging, there is an absolutely ridiculously large sort of chaise chair made up between both satin and velvet fabrics in deep purples and golds. It's got several tassels hanging off of it in different places.
I'm gonna riff off the music bit and say that there are some hanging vinyl album covers, maybe just like in 2x2, of a couple indie bands that are just Mal's absolute favorite. Saw them in college and absolutely fell in love with them. And they're you've not heard of them.
I think there's just it's sort of just on one corner. There's like a original architecture's map of the building. It's like 200 or 300 years old, so it's probably changed and renovated quite a lot since then. But it's like, here's the original ones. It's like, oh well, at least that's familiar.
And you'll find that these things are in strategic points of the room to essentially lead you four to like opposite ends. And as you're admiring or looking at these things, this landlord of yours is coming round to each of you in turn and, like, kind of seeing your interest or remarking upon your like the look that might be on your face. So in turn, I think the landlord is going to go to Preston first. Preston, do you go and actually sit on this lounge, on this chaise lounge chair?
Well, yeah, I think we actually see a moment of like right before he comes in, and Preston has sort of lined against a tiny mirror just a small, ample amount of drugs. And he takes them and leans back against the chair. Sort of a slight haze comes across his mind, and he starts to relax and luxuriate.
I think before you realize it's happening, it's like you see a snifter of brandy at your shoulder, and the landlord is standing near you and saying, "Ah, want a bit of this?" And he
Oh,
hands it to you.
that would be divine. What vintage is this? And he'll reach a hand out.
Smell it. If you know, then you know.
Yeah, and I think Preston takes a moment and almost laughs a little and says, "It's been a moment since I've enjoyed Louis."
And he nods and he smirks and he says, "You know your brandy.
Mm.
And your family much? Do you have family that you remember, like, sniffing at a bit of this with?"
Well, and he's like sort of has the glass in his hand, and he's sort of gently turning it so that the liquor will lap against the sides of the glass, get some exposure to air, and give off that just wonderful woodsy scent of it from the things it's been aged in. And he'll smile. Yeah, my mother, before she was my father's fourth wife, was a model, and many of her friends would come over for brandy and events late at night. I wasn't supposed to be up, but it was a fondness and a thing I'd grown to see, and so he'll take a sip.
Hmm.
My
It's
father's more
like,
of a whiskey man, but I always liked brandy.
uh, do you think they would miss you if you hung here, lived here with me, rather than, like, at the family home?
And he pauses for a moment. I think it's a question that ruins the sort of pleasure on his tongue. Well, for living arrangements, I suppose it's not. They'd miss me in the office, and for ad campaigns or whatever ambition he needs a lineup for. The oldest three really aren't lookers. They're from his first marriage. But again, in terms of living, we've found that at my age, it might be best to separate in terms of our household.
It's good. It's good. It's good to get out on your own and, like, be that adult. Be that. Be that man you're always meant to be. And with that,
Mm.
he's going to, you notice as he's leaving you to go on to the next person that he, even with the cane, he has like a strange gait to his walk. It's not
Yeah, I
what
think
you would think that there's like an actual limp per se. It's just very strange. What does it look
and I
like to
think
you?
it's strange because one leg is far more fluid in its movement than the other, almost like it's younger in a sense, as if it's got the range of motion of someone's Preston's own age instead of someone who's been, perhaps through sporting injuries or tears or the general wear and tear of life, that therefore their limbs may ache or move slowly, which is, what its neighbor does. Instead, this one moves with a fluidity and straightness and ease. Yeah, Preston's happy to just smile to himself, take another sip from the tumbler given to him, and lean back into the mixed high that he is experiencing against this lounger.
And the landlord will go on to Annabelle. Annabelle, you noticed that there's the death metal band poster
Yeah.
up in the other wall. It's actually among some of the more what look like appointed portraits that are on this wall. It's actually framed, but inside the frame, it looks like it's like kind of torn and worn, and these portraits are like surrounding it, and it's like, of course, looks like the specially made oil paintings or like some abstracts, but again, it's behind a frame, and it's looking like it's been preserved. And the landlord comes up next to you and says, "Yeah, that little ditty was with another tenant, somebody that, well, kind of skipped out on me. But it seemed interesting. I mean, it kind of gives that flavor of color, amidst all this other stuff. That portrait over there looks like he's a little bit of stiff upper lip, and then that abstract looks like it's got the same kind of color scheme, I mean, it's like that blood red color just really appeals to me. What do you think?"
I think I say, oh, I don't know. I just recognize the poster because my roommate in college wouldn't shut up about this band. And that's not a lie because Annabelle got her roommate into this band, but she's used to lie about what she wants, so she just do it like automatically. And I think she asked, who are the people in the portrait? Are they specific people or just general portraits?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of ancestors, but I mean, they were made to look a little bit more prissy than they really are. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got some stories in your family, and then you got some people that may may want to look a certain way, but not actually are.
Yeah, I think I say, well, if they are all in as good health as you are in your age, then I'm sure these portraits aren't too far off.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Aw, that's amazing. I mean, you noted my good health. Did, how are you doing? I mean, it's like anybody feeling okay at home?
Yeah, I'm in good health. I'm a doctor myself, so
Oh, might be coming to you for a little free care, and then like kind of elbows you, kiddingly. So
I said, of course, anything for a housemate, roommate.
yep. And you see from the tubing. Now, in this room, the tubing is actually up in the, I can't remember like all the architectural details, but like up between the ceiling and the walls. So like, kind of like butt up
Yeah, yeah.
against the ceiling. And then you see some of these rats like kind of like running through. And one of them stops and looks at you and kind of like wiggles its nose at you before going on. And then the landlord also moves along to the next person. I think the next wall, is the hanging album covers that you're remarking upon, Mel. And the landlord will come up to you and say, yeah, it's like, had a little fancy for some of these album covers. Again, it's like, as you can see, I've got a pretty esoteric aesthetic when it comes to art, and he's correct, because again, it's like, these are interspersed with some of the hanging portraiture, and some abstract like landscapes or something. But the colors, strangely enough, are harmonious. So these album covers were like deliberately put here to kind of go with the other things that are on this particular wall. So it's like, you like some of these bands? It's like you looked like you were kind of happy to see them, like when I came up.
Oh yeah, Blackberry Daisies. I saw them during my undergrad. I was dating a girl in Austin, and we actually went around the suburbs on bicycles, and they were doing a garage band thing. It was, oh man, it was a magical time of my life. And just, seeing that album cover. This is before they even like released this album, and it was, yeah, it was a really nice time.
No longer with the girlfriend. Is that why
Uh,
you're here?
yeah, didn't work out, I'm afraid. She had to move back home. I had to come over here, and it 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 ended amicably, I guess, sort of. But yeah, it's about the good times. It's about remembering, right?
It is about remembering. It's about like, keeping in touch with those people that you have close ties to.
Yeah,
Although,
yeah.
I mean, if you're here and not with her, I mean, how close are the ties, right?
Uh, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, maybe it's all for the best. Gotta get rid of the old, make way for the new, right?
Indeed, absolutely. And this is where he will clap you on the back, in a very like amicable manner. But you notice it's like how very powerful that clap is. You feel like the strength of his hand, like, followed by the solidity of his arm as he does that. And he's like, just kind of like clapping you on the back and then just kind of giving you like a little shake. And he's like, buck up, youngster. You got a lot of life ahead of you. And hey, maybe one of these young ladies could be of interest. And he winks.
I Yeah, it's always a possibility. Oof. You must
I didn't
play
mean to.
baseball.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I didn't mean to let out of, like, out of the other one. I mean, but that young feller, I mean, he looks a little busy. So, I mean, maybe, I mean, like, I just, like, feel each other out. You never know, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm just gonna be mostly, doing my studies while I'm here. So I'm really
All
committed
right.
to that.
Yeah. Oh, a quiet sort. Nice. All right. And then this is where he wanders over to Gabrielle. Gabrielle, you're noticing the big architectural map of the of the mansion, of the estate.
Mhm.
It's done up in a not a schematic manner per se, but it's done up like, like the thin pencil sketches and like some of the blue lines. It's like, you can see it's kind of been worked on for a little bit. And the fraying edges and the kind of like old parchment dried sun baked look of something that's been around for quite some time, especially because it's like it's facing a window.
Yeah.
And it's like, you get full light on it, so it's not really being preserved in any real way. But he comes up, next to you. Yeah, that's the old estate. That's when they were first working on it, but then they were making some changes and thinking about things and all this kind of junk. But it's nice to kind of keep a remembrance of the past and home, right?
No, it's more the opposite for me. It inspires me to keep making changes. There's some things I could do to do up the place and make it stronger and better for everybody. For a small fee,
Really?
of course.
Huh. I may just ask you about that. I mean, you might have noticed outside it's a little worn looking, like, maybe a little run down. I get it. I mean, like, this is a big place. That's kind of why I want some tenants to share it with. I already
Well,
got some tenants.
So the foundation's there. It's good. There's a lot we can do, but
Oh, yeah. If you look at this picture, you can see the bones of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the bones are solid.
Yeah, it's good potential. There's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, fluidity. Just looking at things that can be. The potential. Looking at your potential, yeah? Yeah? I mean,
Hmm.
do you share this love with, like, friends and family? I mean, you just seem so into this.
I'm not sure my friends would like your friends. I have a lot of spiders. I'm not sure they would get on with the rats.
Yeah, might be a little bit.
But they're in cages and stuff. They wouldn't be running around freely. I'm sure we can come to a amicable arrangement.
I don't know. I mean, my friends like to eat a lot of different things. Maybe, like, to do a stay, for the 5 days, yeah? And then see. And then, if you still want to stay, then we can bring your friends over. How about that? And then you can give me some suggestions, like in this 5 days, of how you'd best get the environment to have that meeting, to be able to accommodate my tenants, you as a tenant, and your friends.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely workable.
Absolutely. Everything's workable, for sure. All right. And with that, maybe some time passes and he'll show you to your rooms. All right. So, like, you go up one of the opulent staircases, or if you want to be whimsical about it, like maybe one or two of you will go up the other staircase just to be fun. But it all leads to the same hallway. And if you do that, then he's going to smile and smirk at your whimsy. There's still the clear tubes everywhere, again, lining like maybe the balustrades of the staircases and the banisters. And then when you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think at the start, Preston sort of had made sure to give them a bit of a wide berth, but now slightly in his cups and enjoying the vibrations of other things, he's actually like running a finger along it as he moves, keeping track of it. Actually, he's specifically running the finger on that gilded gold line.
Yeah.
As it would.
And then some of the rats are actually like kind of keeping pace with you, or like kind of like almost following your finger, as if like, you're leading them in something or what have you. They're following along in the tube, and they're like sniffing along as if they could smell your finger, like right there next to them. And as the gentleman is showing you to your room, you notice that each of the doors has a lock, only on the outside. Do any of you
I'll
remark?
gesture to the lock and look at the guy. Just,
It's no detail. I mean, I think what ended up happening was that they were using the locks that, they would come out of their room and they would lock from the outside, like, when they were leaving for the day. I think that's how it worked. I mean, I don't particularly use them myself, but I mean, if you want the key, sure. I mean, like, we can totally do that. Absolutely.
yes, I would like a key.
Sure. No problem. I can totally provide that to you before everyone, like, rests up for the day and such. For sure. All right? Let me show you to each of your rooms, all right? And then we'll go ahead and get some dinner, all right? I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to be real informal here. So when we go down to the kitchen as a group, I mean, I kind of have like one of those, what do they call them? Some breakfast nooks, all right? So then we're all going to just kind of cozy up in the breakfast nook and then have like a leisurely, neighborly dinner together. And then, for the next few days, it's like, whatever you need to do, you do. All right?
Are the rooms spread out on one level, or they all kind of clumped together in one wing?
No, they're kind of spread out. Like, he'll show you, like, I can't speak. Show two of you to, like, one end of the hallway and then the other two to the other end of the hallway. Now, besides the doors with the locks only on the one side, as you go into each of your bedrooms, the bedroom is furnished very lavishly, just as if you'd want if money was no object. So, I'm going to go to each of you in turn. I want you to tell me what this room looks like. If money was no object, what does your particular room look like?
I'm sorry, is this a dining hall or like just a...
No, this is your bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we are still checking out our own room.
Yes, checking out your bedrooms.
Yes. Yeah. So sorry, I spaced out. Yeah.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. I mean, if you know, whoever wants to go first and describe their dream bedroom with no object, no money to worry about.
I think I'll go traditional and, curtains, bed sheets, everything. It's all red satin with the, what do you call it? The big columns and the roof above the bed, banister bed with
Canopy bed.
Yep, all of that. Yep.
All red satin?
Yeah, why not?
Ooh, Gabrielle's got a hot side. Awesome. Do you have any sitting chairs or a desk? I mean, like,
Yeah, just like a dark oak wood sort of coffee table with red velvet chairs. 2 red velvet chairs there.
Do you think you would work here at home as well?
No, I don't think there's a desk there.
Okay.
That doesn't help other activities. I don't think. Yeah. Bedroom's a bedroom for Gabrielle, I think.
Got it. Okay. I mean, just wanted to double check on that. But you do have a coffee table. Okay. Want to make sure. Okay. Who's next?
I think in stark contrast to that, Mal's room is like doubling as his sort of workplace. There is a bed. The bed is actually kind of almost an afterthought, and it's just kind of sectioned off by a rattan divider. But the lion's breadth of the room goes to a giant like Stephen King heavy mahogany writing desk, and it's just like layered with Indiana Jones style like artifacts from all different kinds of places. Nobody knows what cultures they're from. A whole smattering. There's probably a standing globe somewhere. To one side in the middle of the room, it's kind of small and sectioned off on its own. It's very easy to miss. There is a cross, Christian cross hanging up in a sort of like very black, a very dark espresso colored wood, and there is a sitting chair next to a giant bookcase of all different kinds of research books, historical treatises on different cultures and things like that. And next to it is a big giant, a super comfy reading chair, and the whole place smells like a coffee shop.
This cross, is it like 6 inches or like 2 foot? How much?
Oh, it's small. It's
Okay.
Smaller than like an 11 by 14.
So it doesn't like dominate the room sort of
No,
thing? Or,
no. It's very, very easy to miss. It's very, very subtly placed.
I think you'll also notice, like, when you do go behind that rattan divider, that the bed, even though you say it's an afterthought, it's actually bigger than you expected. So if you were expecting like one of those dinky twin beds or something like that, it's actually a full-size bed. Like, with, again, lavish appointments of like, well, I mean, considering the comfiness that you're thinking of with this, like, kind of very coffee shop, like, cozy and just kind of warm feelings, the bed covers are like the lushest, most like softest flannel and fleece fabric that can be found.
Yeah.
And you only know this when you actually, like, run your hands like across it to find out exactly how super soft this is. All right.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So Annabelle or Preston?
I'm happy to go. Yeah, I think you go into the room and it is ridiculously opulent, almost like Russian Tsar-esque in this completely filigreed wallpaper. And there's like a fresco depicting a scene of Dionysus accompanied by several maenads as they move across location. There is the most sumptuous of bed, also canopied, but it's an Alaskan king. It's a place where a person could writhe, or several people could. There's a sectioned area that is streams of boudoir. And again, it's in those sort of luscious purples and golds, although perhaps there is also some red satin as well in the area. And
Bearskin rug or?
oh, I don't think there's a bearskin rug. I think there is a lion rug, fully maned. And there's a fireplace that is already crackling, and against it are jars of different powders that, well, Preston might not know what they were. If someone was maybe more alchemically inclined or just brave enough to toss them in, they'd notice they'd change the color of the fire. Perhaps one of them is some powdered potassium, things of that nature. And there is actually a section of vials and almost, but they're all currently empty, as if waiting to be stocked. And the floor, well, it does have a lion rug. It is a deep, dark wood, and it's actual hardwood floor. It's not, some kind of facade post on.
Oh no, all the materials are very, very real. And I'm gonna say, given the Alaskan King, I think it's got kind of like a sleigh quality to it, like where it has like the kind of like the curved,
Yeah, the curved. Yeah.
yeah, the
Mhm.
curved headboard and footboard. But there's also like, and I don't know if Preston's into this or not, but it almost looks like it could be attached to something,
Oh yeah, no,
ready to
Preston's
ride.
into anything and everything.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And Annabelle?
Yeah, I have a question. I think the thing that's most important to Annabelle isn't like physically possible in this building. So, do you mind if I go ahead with something that's a little surreal at this point?
For funsies, sure, go for it.
Yeah, so I think her ro- her room is like it's this like brutalist like room. Yes, there's an operation table, but it's this brutalist room that's not so out of like not so it's very much in the same style as like the exterior of the like the building. And yes, there is like a bloody like operation table because that's what she like dreamed about when she was like younger. She dreamed about being like a mob doctor that like take care of like people that has no other place to go and have absolute power over their life. But the most important part about this room is that there's like a four-wall window, and if you look outside, that's at least 100 stories up from the like from the land. So like it's her dream is like to live in a very, very high building, just so she can say, from up here, they look like ants.
I
Yeah, so I
think
think like yeah, the most important part is that four-wall window where she can look like she can look out for like hundreds of miles, but even the like largest building are just kind of miniature from that vantage point.
yeah, I think if you were going to see your windows from outside, I think it would have like some sort of like film, like some kind of like
Yeah.
yeah, like it would be like some kind of strange window setup so this way you can see this scene like, from the inside, but then like from the outside it would look like, some kind of like movie screen set up like with like the digital um um oh, I know. Okay, so it's kind of like those screens that are in Japan, I think, that make it look very 3D. Like, you'd swear that you'd be able to touch these things and be able to feel like their
Yeah.
contours and such. But I mean, like it's all like, it's all that 4K whatever, technology
Yeah.
it is, and yeah, it's happening in this room. I mean, as an afterthought, there's, the operation table can flip around and actually be a bed. you know.
Yeah.
So for
That,
sure.
that was my intention. So
Yeah. So okay, all right. Psychedelic. All right, great. So after he settles you into the room, which none of you have actually asked his name yet, which I find hilariously funny. That's just coming from a keeper point of view. Um, he's going to like give you time to enjoy your surroundings in your bedroom, which, just so you know, there are still tubes of his other tenants, like running through, like again, like close to the ceiling. So like, you're not completely alone, but yeah, you see the tubes in your room as well. Um, and then he will invite you down, like at an appointed time. I don't know, like maybe like around 5 or 6 that evening, to meet him in the kitchen. And he'll actually come around for you because it's like, you're not very sure of the layout yet. And then the kitchen is like, behind the staircases, like down like another like opulently appointed hallway. and then like the carpets are so plush that you cannot hear your own footsteps. And then you come into this kitchen. Now, he was saying how, oh, we're just going to come into the kitchen, like, have an informal meal and such like that. And it has like a little cozy breakfast nook. Yeah, this kitchen is huge. It's like it would be the size of a garage, basically, with, 2 sets of burners and stoves and ovens and all this kind of stuff with, like stainless steel appliances, like shiny as the day they were bought probably, and huge with like double doors on the refrigerator and the freezer on the bottom. And then his breakfast nook is essentially like what would be considered another room. It's got a long, or excuse me, like a like kind of like a longish like oval table. That's the breakfast nook for that seats like at least 6 for dining, and it's near like a big window that overlooks like the backyard with like some gardens and more of the tubing for the rats. Yeah. This kitchen is fully stocked with your absolute favorite things. He's set out some things that are like on a sideboard, like buffet style. And there's also like, he's offered you to look in the refrigerator because, of course, there's some things that you have to keep cold. You're not going to like just leave them out for, to get warm and disgusting. So, what are your favorite meals? What is your absolute favorite dish that you see here? Cold, warm, whatever, that you bring from the sideboard or the refrigerator and bring to this breakfast nook to have a cozy meal.
I think Gabrielle can't cook, so she makes herself like a roll sandwich, and it's obvious she's doing it just like they do at Subway. Because that's where she goes to regularly eat. So she does it in the same order. And yeah, just a big foot-long sandwich.
But it's all there. Even the artisanal bread, and this is better, much better bread. This is high quality, like whatever mixed flavor herb cheese thing that you usually get for a sandwich. I mean, like think 5 stars up from that. What's your beverage?
I don't know.
He's got alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks here too.
I don't know. I'm looking at the picture, getting a sarsaparilla vibe.
He's got it. Cold or warm?
Oh,
Okay.
cold. Yeah.
All right. Who else?
I think it's very funny and starkly seen because the way it's presented is almost a buffet style, as you said. So there's a dish, and it's similar to a presentation like one might see of like an eggs Benedict at a buffet, but it's not. It's steak rossini, and so it's these fillets. And as Preston would tuck in, he'd be delighted to find that it's not just beef, boring beef. It's actually venison tenderloin, and maybe we see a shot to that window as several deer move through a backdrop of woods. And of course, in traditional stick rossini style, there's slices of black truffle and foie gras on top, an unctuous sauce. And next to it is a dish of caviar, osseta to be specific, next to it to dapple off such a luxurious disc. And then, of course, there's potatoes and roasted root veg in classical accompaniments with it.
What's your beverage?
I think it's absinthe, which is not what it used to be. Not that Preston ever actually had it when it was what it used to be, but there's something about the show and tell of a lit cube of sugar with this green, vibrant liqueur poured over it. Or it's a 1950s glass of Petit Rothschild red wine.
He's got both.
He's got both. Preston will drink both if he has both.
Annabelle, Mal.
Yeah, I think for me it's just like a beef stew. It's not something expensive, but it's a lot like something like my now deceased grandma used to make. And my drink is just plain milk. Because like the family is pretty strict, so I don't usually drink a lot of other stuff. And when I went to college, I realized I'm not into those kind of things anyway. So yeah.
I think when you go and get your food, Annabelle, I think it's very specific where on the hob you find a beautiful, and I'm trying to think of the brand, let's just call it La Crusette, Dutch oven, bubbling away. And
Le Creuset.
like simmering. Yeah, thank you. And you can smell like the rich sense of this beef stew. And you know it's going to be tender and perfect with all the accompanying vegetables inside it. And then when you go into the refrigerator to get the milk, it appears in one of those old-timey glass bottles, fresh, as if it's like literally like fresh from the cow, not the pasteurized stuff in a cardboard box. So it's like almost like cream.
Yeah.
Mel.
And there's the opulent previous dishes, and then there's just like a little maybe a buffet serving of a tray of migas, scrambled eggs and tortilla chips, and very, very diner style, which just grabs a whole scooping and plates them up. And for a drink, something like just a little on the esoteric side. So like Sprite, but a weird flavor of it that's not easily findable. Maybe they stopped making it, like a cherry Sprite or something like that. And Mal's just like, yes, grape Sprite, absolutely. I have no idea why they ever made grape Sprite, but Mal just had it once when he was in college and absolutely fell in love with it, and then they stopped making it.
Does it? Okay, hold on. Before I get into that, I think you find, like, for those of you that were doing the buffet spread, I think you're finding that it looks like it was set out there like much earlier in the day, but they're as fresh as if it just got put out by chefs and the catering. Like the scrambled eggs are perfect. They're at the perfect softness, like what you enjoy, and then the tortilla chips smell like they've been freshly fried. And then yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think Preston looks at what Mal has, because the others are things he would recognize. It's a sandwich, it's beef stew, but he's like, what? And not necessarily, it's haughty, but it's not rude. And as in, he looks at this thing differently. It's like, what is that?
Oh, these are migas. They're it's a big thing in Austin. You've got to go down there. You got to get them from a Tex-Mex place in Austin, Texas. If you ever get a chance. It's it's one of those breakfast any meal foods. They work out for everything.
Yeah, I mean, in college, I mean, I know, it's the best to have breakfast for dinner.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, if you say, take a chance to try it while I have it, I think he's going to like reach his fork over to Mal's plate and take a bite.
All right. That's oh well. I hope you enjoy them.
Meanwhile, there's like the sideboard buffet of like a full tray
Oh
of this
yeah,
stuff.
no, it's almost like purposeful. But he will also, after he takes a bite of that, will cut off a piece of his own dish and hold it out since we're sharing.
And Mal will like super clumsily like hold his plate up and like, try and take the fork and like, get the food off their fork and the like his plate and go, oh yeah, thanks. I guess.
Yeah, once the fork is cleared, and it's a strange thing to transfer from fork to plate and not fork to mouth, because it's sort of a layered but not like plastered layered dish. Like there's things on top of each other, but they're not like adhesively held together. They're just stacked that way. So it's sort of clumsily, probably like a few pieces sort of topple off. But he will twirl the fork when it's given back to him, and he will look at both Gabrielle, Annabelle, and the caretaker and be like, of course, the option is open for everyone.
I think if I'm gonna give that a try, I think I'm gonna actually fill my own plate. And as he's saying this, I mean, like, he has actually done so. I mean, like, his plate's bigger. Like, his plate is like one of those serving platters like you would put a turkey on. And like on the whole plate, like he has spread out like the sandwich fixings, the steak racine. He's put on some of the migas on there, and he's actually like poured on some beef stew on like one end of it as well. So he's got the mishmash and he's trying everything, so and he's just contemplating you all through a snifter of that brandy, like as he's kind of taking bites, watching you, and then also eating and drinking himself. And then you see again like there's rat tubes running through the kitchen as well, up by the ceiling, and they will pause and watch and pause and crawl and then go about their business as you're eating. I like this scene. I mean, so before we take our next break, I mean, if you guys want to continue this in some way, to talk with each other, please do.
I just want to say that someone really should ask this old man's name so we don't keep referring to him by some like caretaker or landlord, because that's a little.
Yeah, I mean, Preston will do it. I realize we've all been so caught up in procedurals that we've not done proper introductions to one another. And he'll make it seem like it's the whole group, like not a single one of us have introduced ourselves. So Preston.
And that could be the case, truly.
Yeah,
I mean,
because I don't, so Preston will point to himself. Preston Vanderveer of Vanderveer Incorporated.
Oh, I thought everybody already knew. I thought I must have missed the part where the landlord introduced himself. I thought it was in the bill or something, and I just maybe misread it. I'm Mal, Tanser, Malcolm, but Mal works.
Gabrielle Harris, pleasure to meet you all.
Yeah, Annabel Li.
And the landlord again is contemplating you all through the brandy snifter, and then finally puts it down, smiles, and says, "And I am Rod Maxim. Welcome to you all to my estate. I hope you will find yourselves quite comfortable here. And again, as my ad said, stay with me for 5 days straight, and if you don't like it, I will pay you $10,000 for your time. So, and then he will bring up his brandy snifter and then toast. He will also say, "A toast then, to all of you, and to tenants."
Tenants.
Preston is
Yeah.
more than inclined to cheers, and you would notice he's gone through a few cups. This isn't a savoring your drink kind of situation to this young man.
Yeah.
Oh, we see the different snifters or whatever, like, or glasses, like, line, like, surrounding your your spot at the table. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, cheers! But I thought I'd lean over to Annabelle and say, you can have more. There's plenty here. You don't have to be shy.
Oh, Mona, I don't know if you're on mute. We didn't hear you if you
Yeah,
responded.
sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, I'll just lean over and say, you can have more food and drink. There's plenty here. You don't have to be shy. Don't, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Mal, I think, is a little self-conscious about, some of these dishes and drinks are a little extravagant, and maybe he, puts the grape Sprite aside and pours himself just a little glass of the fine wine as described earlier, and is trying to make himself be a little bit more, when in Rome, fitting in with the folks who are eating more things. He's a little bit ashamed of the stuff that he finds his favorite in this company.
What notes do you pick up? Just like literally like right after you take your first sip, like you may not even have swallowed yet. And Preston is already asking you.
Oh, it's I get a note of robust. Is that's a note, right?
That's more of a descriptor, and he's
Oh,
got this like cat canary smile, more of a descriptor. But keep going.
you know, I get well, I think maybe there's some like cherry or blackberry notes. It's totally bullshitting. Um, you know, yeah, it's got a very nice mouthfeel, I think. Is that a that's a thing?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think to Gabrielle, to anyone who is like telling Annabelle that she can eat more if she wants, I think she just tell everyone she's on a diet because that's easier to explain than Chinese parenting. So yeah.
And I think you say you're on a diet, and like Preston looks you up, down, and is like, "What are you dieting?" Like, he doesn't actually say that, but that's sort of like his face, and he's gonna shrug though. It's not his place, and he will look at the assessment. It's like the wine swirl it, and he'll be like, "That's fine if you don't want," but I think it could be a fun bonding activity to see what we all taste and think. And he'll pull up two other glasses because he would not think to force Annabelle, but he's just going to, on his own volition, pour for both Rod and Gabrielle. And he definitely, like, there is a decanter. It definitely goes through that. He's not a monster.
Gabrielle's going to drink it while sort of watching him through the glass, and she'll just drink the whole thing. But she's putting on a brave face. She can't handle too much.
Balanced,
And
right?
then
Layers of succulent blackcurrant fruits.
Rod will take a few. Well, actually, he'll take a sip and kind of swirl it in his mouth, like as you do, and then he'll take a deep sniff of it. please pardon me. I mean, maybe I'm not picking up on the right things. I mean, I haven't been to a doctor in ages, so I mean, sometimes I think my taste buds and my senses go a little bit awry. But I mean, like, I smell, and then he starts listing all of the different things that are in this particular wine.
Oh wow.
Like, and he'll be describing, like, the wood that it was casked in. He'll be describing, like, the smell of the sun that was on these grapes of this particular field in da da da, like, to make this thing. Like, and then, like, all of the different fruits, like, fruit notes added, like, as it was fermenting and all this kind of stuff.
And I think for the first time, there isn't just like a daze to Preston's eyes. Like again, they're still a little hazed out, but there's actually some interest there. And like oh, you've actually said something that makes me feel like thinking instead of just being on autopilot.
Yeah, I think Annabelle says, "Oh, that is very impressive, Mr. Maxine. Like even for much younger people." But I think she says that. But I think in her mind, she's like, "Oh, this old man is full of shit. No one can possibly do that."
And then, he'll take like more sips of the wine and then put it down in favor of his snifter and finish that. And then, like, again, like, try each of the things that is on his plate that each of you have essentially brought to the table, even though he's provided it for you. And, yeah, I mean, if you want, I mean, we can close out that scene with everyone amicably, trying the drink, having a little bit of each of the things that was been laid out, and then having, like a surface conversation, I would say, each in your own thoughts. So before we close out this scene to go to our next break, what are each of you thinking as you close out the meal, are headed to your room, and get ready for your first night here in Mr. Maxim's place?
Yeah, I think the first thing we do, I think what I'm thinking is, this guy is extremely weird and probably full of shit, and like the others are like okay, but like it's not. So I think I think at this point I'm morbidly curious about what would happen. So like I feel like this is probably a bad idea because this guy is very, very weird, and the others, like I don't know them that well, but I'm also morbidly curious just what the hell is up with this guy. But I think one thing I will do when I get to my room is that I will sleep like a card at the lock so that it can't lock fully. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Preston, or what is Preston thinking about as he's enjoying, like, his full belly and his, drunken thoughts?
Yeah, I think he is awash with triumph. You know, there's very much this thought that he is just a pampered prince, little princeling, and he would never survive on his own. And look at how well he's flourishing. Steak Rossini on the first night. He's probably laying against that headboard, an opium pipe in hand. Just old school, just like, look at me succeeding first day. I'm the best. I even like culturally taught, like just very full of himself and just this bleeding of arrogance and delight.
Mel?
Mal is a typhoon of crippling social anxiety, and manages to, full belly and limp his way through any kind of conversation, and finally gets back to his room, closes the door, just lets out the biggest like goes and pulls out a book at random and tries to read, but is just like, oh my god, I said that thing, now everybody thinks I'm an idiot, and we just met. I I can't believe they totally saw through everything about that stupid conversation with the wine, and god. And he takes a short glance up at the cross, but maybe says a silent prayer to himself, and tries to drown his thoughts in his book and forget that the last hour happened.
Gabrielle?
I think she goes in her room and it's just like, yeah, this place is a bit weird. I don't, yeah, I'm not comfortable being alone here. And yeah, she might go and knock on Malcolm's door with a bottle of wine.
Mal will sheepishly kind of get up and go in and open the door. Yeah, is there something I can do?
Oh, we might have a chat. And, she's got a bottle of wine and she's kind of wearing a bit of a loose nightie.
All right. Sure. Come in, sit down.
Yeah, if you're willing to go with that, they can just go and do stuff. We don't have to go into detail about it. Yeah, she'll try and seduce you, be the slightly older woman or whatever.
Yeah, sure. We can fade to black on that.
Yeah, because
Excellent.
he's safe, he's non-threatening, and probably compliant, which is what she wants in a man.
Goodness. We could totally fade to black on that. And I think before, as we close out day one, I think downstairs on one of the sideboards in the kitchen, there was a pile of letters that I don't think anybody noticed because they were so busy indulging in food and drink. But this was actually probably behind Rod anyway, in the darker corner of the kitchen. And the camera pans on these letters, and you can see that they were all labeled to this address, to different tenants. The envelopes are faded and open and looking like they've been chewed as the camera fades to black and nighttime falls on day one in this place. So passes ring one. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, so we're back at the 27 mark, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, 10.
All right. Before we completely resume with day two, let me ask Gabrielle and Mel, did you spend the night together, the full night together? Are you waking up in Mal's room?
Oh,
It's Gabrielle's call. It's Mal staying there. It's his room.
Maybe like 5 in the morning she'll get up and go into her own room and stuff. But yeah, most of the night, yeah.
Okay.
She did have a bit to drink, so she's not necessarily.
All right. So let me find out when everybody else is waking up first. Okay. Annabelle, Preston. Well, I mean, he may surprise me, but I'm going to ask anyway. When do you think Annabelle and Preston wake up? And Mal.
I think Preston wakes up in one of two ways. I don't think I'm going to assume, for whatever nebulous reason, he does not have work today. And so he's either going to be sleeping until someone wakes him, or until just like he wakes up, which is likely given how much drinking he did last night, not until like noon. So whichever of those kind of comes first.
Mal, Annabelle?
Mal's an early morning coffee fiend. So I think if Gabrielle leaves at like 5 in the morning, then it's probably about 7:30 in the morning, or even earlier, like 7 o'clock. He probably is up and is like, looks over and sees the two wine glasses, maybe the empty bottle of wine. Oh yeah, that happened. That wasn't a dream. And then goes and is gonna start going on the hunt for a cup of coffee, probably go for the kitchen.
And Annabelle.
Yeah, I think Annabelle wakes up at roughly the same time as Mel, and I think they probably run into each other while looking for coffee.
Okay. I think I'm going to deal with Gabrielle first, because as she's stumbling out from the room, out of Mal's room, and going down the hall to her own, I think the hallway has a very surreal quality, Gabrielle. Especially because it's like you got some wine in you, so you're kind of like, what? And so it's like, maybe from the windows of the hallway or the foyer, opening, leading down to the two staircases. It's like, you see like shafts of moonlight coming in, maybe. But then you also see from one of the other rooms, the one that's like, one that's unoccupied. I think you do notice like, some kind of flickering. And you see when you pass, like as you kind of like, hold with one hand like the hallway, and then you kind of like blearily look in. I think you see it's an empty room, as big as the other bedrooms, but just much more spacious looking, because there's really nothing in it. Except for the tubing, of course, of the rats, and a single projector that is flashing slides on the wall opposite it, a blank wall. And if you're looking with your bleary, wine-filled eyes, you can sort of make out what looks like human anatomy on these slides. And all of the rats in the tubing are watching quite attentively. What do you think of that?
Normally I like animals, but this is just odd. I'm going to just run to my room. I'm not like screaming or anything, but I'm just going to run down the hall to my room.
Would you? Well, I mean, like again, like you're the girl who likes spiders, right? So, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to make you do a ruin roll just yet, but just note that as something that you happen to see. And maybe it was just something weird, that you dreamed on your way back from, Malcolm's room. Who knows? A lot of rats in this place. So, all right. I think, and then you go to your room. Like, how long do you think you sleep?
I don't. I'll get dressed and get up, I think.
Okay. Are you going to head downstairs, look for some breakfast? What are you going to do?
I think I'll go to the library first, have a look around there while it's quiet.
Excellent. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and then deal with the others first, or at least with Mal and Annabelle, since they're going to go down and get some coffee. And then I will address your little trip to the library afterwards, because then I think I'll find a way to wake up Preston imaginatively. All right. So I think as you two are making your way down back to the kitchen, I think you do smell like, like the most invigorating and rich smell of coffee. Like as if the beans have been freshly roasted and are being ground as you make your way downstairs. And then as you get closer to the kitchen, you can smell the percolation or whatever the heck, hot water poured over the beans and, strained, like the whole 9 yards. I've seen people do it and it's like, what the heck? Anyway, yeah, by the time you get to the kitchen, there's no one about, but you see like this contraption that just looks like it's got kind of like a one of those like taps. Like all you got to do is just pretty much maneuver the little flap, and then it'll give you coffee. This smell, this beautiful smell, is emanating from this machine, and there are tall mugs that are waiting right next to it. What do you do? Do you guys have a conversation in the morning, or are you just kind of like, coffee, need coffee?
Yeah. No, I think I'm already pretty awake, so I definitely say good morning to Mel.
That's right, you didn't drink at all, so I mean, you're probably a lot more alert.
You get the non-committal zombie grunt in response. Ugh. Good morning.
Didn't sleep well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, new place. It's always awkward the first night. What about you? Did you sleep well?
Well, I slept okay.
Good. I'm gonna go get some coffee.
Yeah, me too.
Mal's gonna, figure out how the contraption works and just get a nice tall glass of coffee.
And I don't know if you have it black or if you have it with milk or what have you, but if you go into the refrigerator, you will see not only the old-timey glass bottle of milk that's like cream, but you'll also see like little bottles that are labeled half and half, as well as like what looks like flavored creamers as well in this refrigerator, if you do.
At first I was gonna say he's gonna take it black, but Mal is definitely a coffee mate. Like some like cinnamon toast crunch like flavored coffee mate. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird, but they're all in glass bottles, like, clearly labeled. And yeah. This is the premium version of it too. I mean, like, it literally tastes like cinnamon toast crunch in your mouth. Liquid form. Yeah. Annabelle, as you're waiting your turn to get coffee, you see what looks like one of the rats that's been pattering along in the tube. You see it dragging what looks like a wrapped packet of money. before disappearing into the hole that's going into the wall. What do you think of that?
I'm not sure it's money. Am I?
I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, like, I think you can tell it's like, it looks like dollar bills, yo. Like, like a thick packet. Yeah. And again, the tubes are like butt up against the ceiling along the wall.
Yeah, I think I'm going to ask Mel if he saw that.
We'll take a look in that direction. Do we see the same rat?
I think you see the tag end of the packet of money like disappearing into the wall as Annabelle asks you to look up. So yes, you do see the money going disappearing into the hole.
Yeah, that I mean, that certainly looked like money. Maybe it must have found it out somewhere.
No, I'm more wondering why would a rat carry money away because they have no use of it.
Maybe they found it interesting. I don't know. I've never really studied rats. I was always more into the history, human cultures.
Gabrielle also is like an zoologist, right?
I don't know. Gabrielle and I, we've only really kind of just been introduced. And we talked a little bit last night, but yeah, I don't know a whole lot about her now that you mention it.
Yeah. I think Annabelle is picking up on a suspiciously specific denial, but she doesn't mention it. And I think she just say, okay, I guess I will ask her about it when we see her later.
Yeah, and I'm curious. Whatever you hear about them, if that's a thing rats do, I don't really know. But anyways, I hope you enjoy your morning. I'm gonna go and probably drink this back in my room.
Yeah. Send to you.
Let's go over to Preston. Preston.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, I mean, you had a lot to drink. You had maybe a little bit of sniff of something earlier on in the day yesterday. But I think the rats have kind of creeped into your unconsciousness as you are drifting through whatever dream that you're thinking of when you were king of the world, when you went to bed. But I think you are being bothered by this feeling of itching, this itchy feeling that you have on your skin. Like whether you're like fully asleep or you're halfway there or you're starting to wake up because of it. And I think as you're waking up out of whatever dream that you're having, you're definitely feeling itchier in your skin. And if you look at your fingernails, you can see that they've been gnawed to the quick.
Yeah, so I think he wakes up and he's shifting, and it's surprising because the bed itself is very comfortable, and nothing should be causing irritation. And then he looks at his nails, which were previously beautifully manicured. just very well cared for, and sees that they are bitten to the quick and sort of looks at the bed for like nails, like, and for the
Take
first
our.
time, I think,
Yeah, go
oh,
ahead. Keep going.
yeah, I was gonna say, for the first time, I think he feels discomforted.
Exactly. And
Sort of
if
slide.
you.
Oh,
Yeah,
go
go
for it.
ahead.
No,
Keep
you
going.
go.
Sorry, I keep on
No,
interrupting
you
you.
go.
Keep going.
You
Keep
go.
going.
No, you go.
No, you go. I'm dead
Uh,
serious. Keep going.
okay, because I'm just filling in descriptions while I was wait. But yeah, so I think, yeah, he slides up towards the front of the bed, like looking around these sort of sheets and things like that, back sort of pressed against the headboard, and yeah, he's a little more cognizant for the first time in this house, and a little more disquieted.
I have just put in the dice roller into the chat. So
All
go
right.
ahead and enter the link, add your name, your character name, I should say,
Mhm.
and then we will um,
Do I
continue.
click any of these specific ones?
Oh no, you like just like just enter your name and then you're entered into the room.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, you're not rolling just yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, he's got his back pressed. He's a little disquieted, and I think he's trying to make a choice, looking towards one of his suitcases that he has, that I guess he's brought with like a bag, um if he wants to do something about this or lose himself to the haze again. I think is a choice he's finding himself trying to make.
Preston, if you're in the dice room, if you're in the roller room, you want to hit the ruin button and then
All
just
right.
let's see what you get.
Three.
Okay, I don't see you in there.
Oh, weird. uh I didn't click the link that you gave. This was the one that was in the character keeper. Should I click
Oh,
that
no.
one?
Click the one that's in the chat. I apologize.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Because it always has to be refreshed right at the game time, which is why I forgot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad. I figured
No, you're good.
there's any other one that's not good.
All
All
right.
right, ruin dose.
Okay, you go up if it's less than 2, which it is. So you want to add a check mark and change your ruin to
2.
2. All right. How do you feel, with waking up this way?
I don't think he likes it. I don't think it's what he's used to, and I think so far this has just been a continuation of his privileged lifestyle, and sort of seeing that and feeling that sort of discomfort is not what he wants. He's supposed to be getting to enjoy his current atmosphere before dealing with work based whatever. He's taking this time. It's supposed to be a good thing, and this is not good. And I think, yeah, I think he goes and he pulls sort of a loose fitting, you know sort of robe on, and just leaves the room. I think he takes one of his bags, with like a backpack sort of kind of situation with him.
Mhm.
But he needs to get out of this room. uh it's ruining the vibes.
Got it. All right. So I want you to take the condition. I want to call it something further, but for right now, call it discomfort under
Okay.
conditions. Okay. And then, all right, let's go back to Gabrielle. You are in the library. And I think what's interesting is that when you get to the library, I mean, he had laid out like, where like some of the bigger rooms were. And then you get to this library, and I'm going to go ahead and ask everyone to paint the scene. In this library, I mean, he said like he had a whole collection of different things and what have you, but it's pretty tricked out for this library. I mean, it is one of those like, um, you know, long room ones with the double French windows that go from ceiling to floor, like on one side leading out to the backyard. And it is well appointed. I mean, you got your old books, you got your new paperbacks. I mean, like, a collection mishmash of things. What is here that looks a little out of place? I mean, it doesn't have to be the books. It could be like, something about the room itself or the furniture.
I think there are taxidermied, or there's just a lot of like there's a bear skin rug. There is taxidermied like crows all along or intermittently among the tops of the bookshelves. There's a bare space on one of the walls where a buck head is mounted. And just, everywhere you look, there's just another dead animal.
Annabelle, Gabrielle, Preston.
Yeah, I think Preston sort of, you see him come into the room. He hasn't even managed to put like shoes or anything on, so he's barefoot. He's in this loose-fitted robe, looking discomforted. Maybe there's like even a slight edge of panic. He's carrying this backpack, and he comes in, and I think he actually bumps into a stuffed bear in this mud room, and he spooks a little, and you hear like a small gasp before he turns around and realizes you're also in the room. He almost looks a little relieved that there's another person there after what he's experienced. And he's like, Malcolm, right, morning. And he like kind of looks around for like a watch or like a clock of somewhere, like unsure if he's right.
Actually, it's like Gabrielle in the library, and Mal is in his room looking.
Oh, it's Gabrielle.
at his
Sorry,
own books.
Gabrielle.
But actually, you know what? It doesn't surprise me because, again, like with the amount that Preston had last night, they could look
He may have
all like
walked
they could
right
look the
into
same.
Mal's room.
Yeah.
Oh, they all look the same. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wherever. Yeah. Sorry, Gabrielle. Yeah. Whoever's buying all these, he's like, oh, right. He goes to Gabrielle. Morning, I think.
Good morning, she says, kind of distractedly looking around.
Gabrielle, what do you see in this room that looks out of place?
Most of it's in order and nicely presented and stuff, as a library should be, but the section on like flora and fauna, some of the books are horizontal, some of them are upside down, and yeah, it's like they've been haphazardly put in this section, which is unlike all the other sections where it's all as it should be, the right way up and vertical.
And Annabelle?
Yeah, I think there's a chair, like a large, like wooden chair that's just stuck with various different kinds of knife. So they are all real knives. So they are like kitchen knife, like butter knife, a switchblade, butterfly blade, and some like antique looking like katana and like sword cutlass, that kind of thing. It's almost like a collection. And yeah, I think they look like period appropriate too. So like, yeah, it's definitely Knives Out vibe. Yeah, they look period appropriate. So like, so like some of the like older items look like they could be a bit rusted or like damaged by age.
So, Gabrielle and Preston, you're in this room, and there is a large table on one side. I think maybe it's opposite the fireplace. There's a fireplace in here. And you'll see it's bare of everything except for 2 pieces of paper. They look like, when you get up close to them, they are tenancy agreements, each with your name on it, signed by the landlord in what looks like a spidery scrawl, and they're awaiting your signature with a pen next to each one. Imal and Annabel, when you get to your rooms, or yeah, if that's where you're headed, Mal, you find on your desk, you find amongst all the stuff on it, you find a copy of the tenancy agreement as well, with your name on it, signed by the landlord, awaiting your signature with a pen. And Annabelle, on the operating table that you flipped back after you slept, then yeah, the agreement is waiting for you as well.
If Preston sees this paper, he is almost, it's funny because like again he'd sort of walked and moved this very lazical sort of gait, but the moment he looks at this like legal paper, there's just like a shift, and he picks it up and immediately starts scanning it and going over and reading it like very fervently. And there's actually, again, his eyes are less hazed, he hasn't had anything today, and there's actually a sort of an intelligence almost there, or a spark of something.
Gabrielle says, things are convenient here, like oddly so. And I'm wondering if we don't sign this, like when we just put it off for half a day or a day, will our hosts be genteel still?
That's a good question. It has been very comforting here, very honest. I mean, if I think about it, I didn't see a chef around, and to have made 4 quite different spreads, it seems like an astronomical amount of work. Again, maybe we just didn't see the chefs, but it is interesting. And how was your night last night? And he's still like turning papers on his head.
Quiet, nothing happened.
Really, I promise not to think me strange, but and he'll hold out his hands, one of his hands, the one that's not currently holding the paper.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up and it seems as if my nails have been chewed.
I'll look at his nails. I'll take his hand and look at his nails. Do they look like they've been chewed, or do they look fine?
Oh no, they look like they've been chewed.
Yeah, these are teeth marks, and I'm imagining these are like old quill pens or something. And I kind of gesture with a feather to the tubes of rats.
I think it's almost as if that had not dawned on him until you said that, and he looks horrified.
I'm gonna have you do another ruin roll for that, and then Gabrielle, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I'd rather him than me, but I don't want any of us getting eaten. So yeah, I'm a bit shocked because this is a pretty harsh return to reality after what was a fairly pleasant night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
So go ahead and both of you make a ruin roll, please.
Okay.
I got a 4.
2. I got 1, so it goes up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Sweet.
Preston, yours goes up again.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Mal and Annabelle. Mal, what do you think when you see the tenancy agreement?
Well, the 5-day clause is still in there, right? The
Yeah.
stay with me 5 days.
I mean,
Okay, yeah.
it's exactly as he laid out in the ad. I mean, like there's no like fine print, funny business or anything like that. I mean, it's pretty clear.
Well, everyone else probably signed it, so we're gonna sign it.
Okay, so he's gonna go ahead and just like
Oh yeah, yeah. No, there's clearly everybody that why would there be anything odd about that?
Yeah, do we have our cell phones?
now that's the funny thing. If you look for your cell phone, and this is for all of you, if you suddenly think about it, your phone has gone missing. It's not there. I'm going to say that once you sign the agreement, you hear some kind of beep, Mel?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go around your room to look for the source of the beep, it's a very intermittent, steady beep. You will find behind a stack of books, somewhere like among the bookcase, the desk, what have you, you're going to find a time-locked safe with a viewing window. And inside is $10,000 in cash and your phone within.
We could pat our pockets down and be like, oh wait, I must have misplaced it. Okay, well, at least there it is. So, all right, 5 days. Let's do this.
Annabelle, do you sign the agreement?
Yeah, no, I'm not signing anything until I can get a lawyer to look at this.
Okay. But if you do look for your phone, you do not find it.
Yeah. So I guess I have to go find, I don't know, a computer or a fax machine if it comes to that.
Speaking of lawyers and looking at this, could I roll with either like negotiation or bureaucracy, or maybe even determination or something to try just like to check this paperwork over and all of this?
Sure. All right.
That's
So
something
let's do our first risk roll of the day or of the game. All right. So the way it works is with risk, you are getting a light die. So Trophy Dark is a game that uses two colored die. It's like light and dark. All right. So the first light die is from being having a skill and like an appropriate skill, occupation, background, what have you, which you do. And then there's a dark die involved if you are risking mind or body. Okay. I'm gonna say that this is a risk to mind because trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And then you get a second light die in the instance of accepting what's known as a devil's bargain. A devil's bargain is something that happens no matter what. Okay? Now, let's first go through what could go wrong if Preston fails his roll. All right? So I'm going to ask just like one person in this case to say, what could go wrong? So, Blake, what do you think could go wrong if Preston fails his roll? Again, risk to mind and such. Or thinking about the drive,
Drive. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's being filmed and his family are watching or something.
I love it. Okay, sorry. And then Mona, can you offer a devil's bargain, please? Again, remembering no matter what, this will happen. Okay, whether fail or succeed on the roll. And you don't have to take the devil's bargain, Preston. It just allows you for a second light die. Okay.
Hmm.
So, what do you want to offer, Mona, for the devil's bargain? Again, risk to mind, and then, affecting possibly the drive.
Let me look at. Yeah, I think no matter what happens, you will realize you need another hit.
Okay.
Okay.
just more drugs. Okay, yeah, that works. I'll take that.
Okay, so
I'll take more drugs.
So for the risk roll, you're going to hit risk, and then you're going to do 2 light, 1 dark.
1 dark. All right. Ooh, spicy.
Okay. Hoo. If higher than your ruin goes up by 1. So you rolled a 5. So you succeed.
Just chugging along on that.
Yes, chug. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Okay. Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry. Okay.
But I
so
did get a 9 question mark.
Oh, no. It's like the way it is
Okay.
like we look for the success. Like, so it's like,
Okay.
So let's see, for the risk roll. Okay. So it says 4 to 5. You succeed, but there's a complication. The GM describes the complication, and then you describe how you succeed, or vice versa. Yeah. So
Okay.
you succeed in looking at this document, and then you're thinking, what now?
So he's trying to essentially uncover like anything that could be going on with this document that makes it not seem what it is. Like if there's something in the wording, or if there's like a telltale sign, or just something that either allows too loose of a language that this could be concerning, or a hidden caveat, or anything like that.
It's essentially a copy of the ad that he had. Now remember, he said, however, I have no time for anyone whose backgrounds includes ever having been.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
because you're a junkie, if he finds out that, you are, and you sign this agreement, it's like, the 10,000, regardless of staying the full 5 days or not, is null and void for him. So you don't get anything.
Yeah.
So that's your complication.
I'm going to say, do you think he's so used to, getting what he wants that he wouldn't notice if we signed each other's agreements?
That's a good question. Are these personally addressed?
Well, it does have
Or
your
are they
names
just-
on it.
Yeah, so they're not. That would make a contract null and void. That's a fun. Yeah. And he'll turn and hold his own out to Gabrielle.
No, so we'll sign each other's.
Yeah, we'll sign each
Cute.
other. And
Nice.
Preston
All right.
will hand hers back to her so she can hand them in for them both. And then you're gonna watch Gabrielle, or you, not that you'll watch, but you'll see, I should say, that once that is done, he'd seen a little off, and he's gonna turn, and there's probably, we're in a library, so there's probably a desk, or maybe, in fact, actually, there is an appropriately heighted bookshelf level, and he's going to pull a little baggie from this robe and just a line of coke.
All right.
Is gonna pull out and he's also gonna pull out like $100 bill from his robe pocket and just
Classy.
and he'll turn and offer it to you.
Actually, yeah, and as you finish signing the agreements,
Yeah.
you both hear the beeps. The beep, beep.
Okay.
And then if you go check it out, like hidden amongst the bookshelves. And again, remembering that there's like still the tubings of rats, like, above you. Like hidden amongst the bookshelves, maybe next to you or behind some books. The small time lock safes that has the viewing window, showing the cash, and your phones.
Can I open it?
Time locked.
Ah. Ah, okay, yep, so you gotta wait. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for the offer. I'm gonna grab some breakfast. And I'll
Yeah, and you can watch as he's like, shaking his shoulders a little, loosening up, trying to get feel himself out, like after everything that's happened. It's been a day. He's discomforted and he just wants to not. He's like, yeah, no, breakfast sound. Let's go breakfast. Let's brunch. Let's make it a brunch. Let's go get brunch.
Some of the rats are, as they're going through the tubes, like they're kind of like, clumping in groups a little bit and like almost chattering to themselves as they look their little beady eyes down at you both. And as Gabrielle leaves. And then they go on.
Flips off the rats.
Yep. And then Annabelle, do you stay in your room to look for your phone, or are you trying to go elsewhere?
Yeah, I think since I don't know why my phone is missing, right? I don't know it's taken yet. So I guess I will assume I lost it somewhere or like I missed it. So yeah, I will start by looking around my room. And then if I feel like I don't find it, maybe I will go to the like dining hall or somewhere.
But you're not signing the agreement.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think as you're going, heading down to the kitchen, again, to get some food, I think you pass a room that you didn't necessarily notice before, but the door is partially open and it's like you see sunlight streaming from this room because it's just, I guess, so full of windows. Sunlight is streaming in. And you hear chittering. You hear
Like
chittering?
birds,
No.
rats.
Yes. Do you take a peek, or are you going straight to the kitchen?
Yeah, I think I will take a peek because I was already wondering what's up with the rats.
Right. So, as you... Oh, are you sneakily taking a peek, or are you actually just opening the door and then like
Yeah,
seeing
no,
what...
I sneakily take a peek.
As your eyes go round the door, you see this beautiful conservatory full of bay windows. It's like almost like octagonal shaped. And then like, the wrought iron again motif like still going through this room against the windows. And you see a single chair. It looks like very plush, very gilded, very ivory. And the landlord is napping in this chair, in this place. And the rats are crawling all over his hairy body. His dressing gown and his shift tunic is open. You see his hair, it's like popping out like from his arms and his chest. But the rats are just kind of like nibbling at his hair and just kind of like, just kind of crawling around him like he's just like, one big
Cheese.
amusement park.
But they are not hurting him, right?
Nope. He's just sleeping there, like, like head back and kind of slumped in the beautifully appointed chair, and the rats are just kind of like, crawling all over him. He looks like he's
Yep.
wearing a rat blanket is basically what it looks like. Moving.
Yeah.
Take a ruin roll, please.
Oh, wait, let me get the dice roller. So are there tubes in that conservatory? Like, do the tubes open to that room?
There are tubes here. They're actually on the floor or near the floor because like the windows go from ceiling down to like half of the wall, letting in all that light. And then the tubes are running down across that half wall. And some of them look like they have like some openings that the rats are just kind of like, jumping in and out of. Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, if these rats also have like access to the tubes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, again, they're just like, some of them are just jumping in and out of it and just kind of like, again, having a grand old time. If he was a water park, they'd be all at it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll ruin.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm getting the dice roll. I haven't got it open.
There you go. Ruin. All right.
Yeah, so
Goes up.
yeah.
All right. So, we're gonna close this out with a scene of just give me like a 1 or 2 sentences saying like how you're feeling right now, whether you saw the rats, your phone and the cash in the box, or just in general. How do you feel? Gabrielle?
Just uncomfortable. This place is odd, and I don't want to be alone in a room in this place. It's just, it's either too convenient or it's creepy or it's both at any given moment. So I'm like, it's just, well, there's a cash on the line, otherwise I wouldn't stay here.
Take the condition needs company. Mal, what are you thinking? What are you feeling right now?
Mal is just hating that he's such a dolt and lost his phone, and now it's trapped behind the safe, and he's just feeling like a moron again. Yeah. The house, the architecture, it's a big building. It feels like it's full of such history, and then you see the rats running around, and that's odd. It's a little creeped, but yeah, mostly he's just kind of trapped in his own head about, you know, he's trying to find reasons to believe that anything that's odd is on him, and so he feels like an idiot.
Take a ruin roll, please.
Sure.
Oh yeah, definitely goes up. And I'm going to say your condition is odd man in.
I love that. Just side note, I'm just gonna put that out there.
All right. And then Annabelle, how you feeling?
Yeah, I think I'm mostly just wondering what the hell is going on. Because I can't figure out how any of this is happening.
I'm going to say out of control for
Okay.
your condition. And then Preston, as you're like toking up and you're enjoying this little respite, even though your phone and the money is just kind of teasing you from behind that time-locked window. What are you feeling?
Yeah, I think he's riding the exuberant high. I think he has decided to take what he was feeling and shove that in a little box and put that in the back of his head because he don't want to deal with that right now. And with the coke, he's sort of kind of pumped up, excited. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna make the best of this, gonna have a great day. And yeah, he vibing.
Add the condition staying in the box.
Ooh, staying in the box. Okay.
And as you are all thinking these things and in where you are in this place, I think the camera will pan away from the foyer, away from the circular driveway, and then back out to the gate, to the wrought iron double gates. As you see them, they're closed and they're locked with thick chains. So passes ring 2. And we close our session for today, and leaving time for stars and wishes. So,
Yeah.
stars,
Hey,
anything that you enjoyed about the game or each other's role play or whatever, and then wishes is like what you want to see for next time, or if you wanted to see something this time and you didn't quite get there. So go ahead, Mona.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling well, so I want to get off
Oh, okay. All
early.
right,
Yeah.
please.
So
Yeah,
sorry.
please.
Yeah.
Open door.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time,
Yeah.
I hope, okay?
Yeah. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So, all right. So, stars and wishes.
Stars for K. I hate Preston. He's a piece of shit, but you're role playing him so well. It's amazing. He's such a oh man. I need so many people like them, but yeah, you're role playing him spot on. It's beautiful in its awfulness. Yeah.
Preston's a fantastic foil.
Thank you. Yeah, I got the vibes that him and Mal are going to be good foils for each other.
He reminds me of Archer, that cartoon. It's kind of an adult cartoon.
Yep, I happen to know Archie.
Yeah, but Malcolm too, but in a different way. He's that neurotic guy from college who was always hard on himself, and if he believes in himself for 5 seconds, he'd actually be a fucking star achiever. So you're role playing that really well as well. It's they've got an interesting bunch of characters, so I'm enjoying the mix, definitely. Yeah, this place is weirding the shit out of me, so points for that. No one would stay sane in this place. Just, I don't even mind rats, and they're freaking me out. It's good stuff. As for wishes, yeah, more the same. We're on track to derail at the appropriate moment. It's all going great.
Stars for me, I think I think everyone's bedroom descriptions were great. Really locked in on the characters' psychology. I love that we turned the library into a library/trophy room. Combination Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, in that case, sort of thing. Gabrielle absolutely just going for it. I feel like we're really playing up a lot of the horror movie tropes. We've done drugs, had sex, gone off by ourselves. So my wish then in that regard is somebody's got to go in the basement. It's got to happen. I want to see what's in the basement.
I forgot about it. So yeah, okay.
Oh, we've got 3 rings to explore. I feel like going to the basement in ring 2 would be a little bit of a early go, but definitely something that I'm looking forward to in rings 3, 4, and 5. Yeah.
So stars, Mads, for the really great tension building I feel like you're doing. I love horror games. I play a lot of horror games, and I feel like you very, very well, like you're playing an orchestrated song, and it's the going, which I feel like is the vibe of Trophy Dark from what I am gathering. This is my first playthrough, and I'm not too familiar with this system. So I appreciate that. I love how creepy Rod is. But just like in the most accommodating sense, he's creepy, which is delightful. Obviously, my character did not see the rat thing to be freaked out by that. But I love that. Yeah, Amal is such a great foil for Preston. I think, yeah, they're very, yeah, they're great foils for each other. So it was very fun to have that to sort of play off of, as well as just like he's a wonderful character in the archetypal sense that I really like, which feels very much like we already had like a horror movie kind of reference, but he like this is an archetypal character in a horror movie, and I love that for him. And I cannot wait to watch him meet his, predestined horror movie situation. So I very much like that. I like how you fed into that, and is very good. I fucking love Gabrielle, like girl boss slay. She's great. I didn't want to sway you, but like I was waiting to see what you said. Did he stay the bed? And my first thought was immediately, she's like, no, she gets her business done, and then she leaves. But like she takes what she wants, and then she's done. Like, goodbye, thank you for this transaction. Just like very girl boss vibes that I really enjoyed. And I like that she, in your play of her, Blake, I feel like you really reached out to other characters. Which this game, I don't know if it's just like the setup or if it's just the setting, it does feel a little isolating in the characters, which might just be like how that works. But I liked how like you had these really great pull-in moments where you did, I feel like, good scene work with the other characters, things like that. And so those are, my sort of stars there. In terms of wishes, yeah, I'm very much enjoying this. I'm very curious to sort of see how things. I think there's other roles you can do, so I am curious to see maybe some of those. I don't know if we're necessarily going to use those, or like if there are other roles that pertain to this variation of the system from this. I'd be curious to see how those work. And yeah, I'm excited to just delve further into this horror and sort of, yeah, figure out where this all goes. I also want to know if we succeeded on our legal snafu. We'll know by the end of that. But by signing each other's papers, does that negate some mystical brouhaha? So yeah, I'm very curious.
It's Trophy. I don't think this is gonna end well.
Oh, I don't think it ends well, but I am curious to see if we escape one fate for another different bad fate, and can have like it's like, because there's almost that false triumph. It makes me think of Cabot at the End of the Woods, where it's like, oh, we finished, we didn't do this, but then like, yeah, the world's still ending though. Like, sure, you didn't give in to the machinations at hand, but you're still gonna die in like 10 seconds after the world implodes.
It's true.
It's one of the reasons why I love this game. I mean, I only had my first experience ever of Trophy, even though I did back the Kickstarter, just on the premise alone. And this was back in February, March, and it was amazing. It was mind-blowing. The collaborative experience, the player dread and sinister undertones of the incursion. I mean, like, I have fallen in love with this game and structure ever since. The only thing to beat it is essentially the Between, which is where I truly started with actual plays. And with this incursion, even though it's set in a modern setting, it's so easy to allow you guys to play and narrate and then just tell me about your characters through what you see and what you're doing. And I can use all of that as the keeper and see how I'm going to weave it into the story. We are all creating this story together, and no matter how many, and what I've found is, like, no matter how many times somebody can play through an incursion, the infinite amount of times that the same stuff described can turn into something completely different because of the people at the table. It's one of the reasons why I love tabletop role-playing games in general, but especially with Trophy Dark, because you, as players, are inputting into this story. You are adding detail, you are adding life to this, and stars for every single one of you for leaning in or showing us a side of your character or interacting with each other in different ways. And again, just kind of like, oh, let's see what happens next. What? I mean, I believe that roles only happen when things are going to change in the story. So, if you wanted a lot more roles, I'm so sorry, but that's not quite how Trophy works.
Yeah, I
But,
do want to preface that I'm not asking for more roles or anything like that, but it's just curious to see the different ones in the system. I think it was
yes.
appropriate.
Well, I mean, just so you know, the other roles that will be used in this particular game of Trophy, like for Trophy Dark, okay, is the contest roll and the reduction roll. So the reduction roll is going to be when somebody hits that lovely 5 and wants to try to reduce their ruin, so this way they don't hit level 6, which is where you're completely lost to the haunted place. Okay, and then to do the reduction, you're going to have to betray your companions in some way. And then the contest roll is when you guys will go head to head. So when there are stakes and the players are going to be going against each other directly, then there's going to be a contest roll. And that's what will be included into the remaining rings, I hope, because that's so much fun. Oh my gosh. And I want to see being able to include more devil's bargains and being able to see what could go wrong, and then being able to ask you all, like, your input. Unfortunately, because of like the shortened session today, it's like I wasn't able to let this breathe as much as I would have wanted to. But I mean, like, I think you guys have a pretty good idea of how the remaining 3 rings will go when we have our full session next time.
Yeah.
Okay? So, I had fun. I mean, like, being able to take you guys through this. And this is the first time I've run this incursion. I mean, like, I just read it and wanted to run it. So, I mean, like,
It's a great setup.
yeah, no, thank you very much for well, joining me on this wonderful rat-filled journey. And let's watch this train ride.
And thank you for running it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for running it.
Yeah, it's
And I'm
good
going to
stuff.
throw in an extra that I was thinking about that I meant to say. I actually really love the conditions. Some of the conditions you gave, I thought they were really fun, like odd man in and staying in the box. So I just wanted to, throw a nod to that. I really liked that. I thought those were great conditions.
Thank you. I mean, conditions in Trophy Dark don't necessarily mean anything mechanically, but it's like a way to fictionally position your character for how you're going to lean in, possibly, or kind of fall.
And lets
into-
people know what headspace you're in.
Right,
Yeah.
what
Characters
headspace you're in,
yeah.
essentially. Yeah, I mean, and that's basically what it is. I mean, it's like your headspace is descending right now, so not sorry, but yeah, you get it. That's I do like horror. So I mean, like, if I do pull a lot of like cinematic type stuff, it's because it's like, I love psychological and like like subtle horror. I'm not out for the gore. I'm out for the holy shit, like what just happened here, that kind of feeling. So
I'm going to second that all the way. I love it. It's psychological, emotional horror, like those sort of vibes.
And if anything, I mean, like, what's really interesting about this incursion before we sign off is the fact that there are no rituals. I had asked Andrew, the designer, and I said, is this on purpose that you did not include any rituals with this? And he said yes, because it's a modern incursion. So he didn't see any that were appropriate from the original game from the fantasy side. I could see where you could include some, and he said that, if I wanted to, I could go ahead. But then I was realizing, you know what? No. Let's see what happens with players that don't rely on the rituals to go to their ruin much faster. Let's go with, you're going to risk your mind or body or both.
Preston's already on 4. I mean, how quickly
I was about to say,
I wasn't expecting that. I was not, you know what? And I'll say this again. I'll say this too. I mean, with Trophy, it doesn't matter what your skills are, your background, your occupation, none of that. No. What it comes down to is the roll. All right. So when you're looking at the dice roll, this is why we all have access to it. So we can see, oh shit, that looks bad,
That's not good. Yeah, no.
if anything, I mean, if you haven't already, please watch on Jason Cordova's YouTube channel our playthrough of the Flocculent Cathedral. That part 2 will show you why I say it doesn't matter what your damn skills are, it's the roll. All right? So go ahead and watch it. Plug. Sorry.
No, go for it, blood.
Yeah, absolutely. So I look forward to all of your ruin next week. So hopefully everybody's hale and hearty, because it's going to go downhill.
I'm looking forward to it. It's good fun.
All
See
right.
you
Thank you
guys
guys so much for joining me for this. And Kevin, definitely. I mean, I'm so glad you were able to jump in on this game.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad I was looking at my phone this morning. So there you go.
Woo! Yay! All right. Way to look for stuff on like last minute. It's like, thank you, goodness. All right.
Yep.
You guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Friday for part 2.
No worries.
Yes, and a healthy, good appointment for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm hoping it's just nothing more than, all right, we're going to drain it, get a shot. Okay, great. We're good. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.